All right, everybody, this will be Warnings and Revelations, part 49. Kind of go over some things in the news and stuff, but just want to say again, for the times ahead, whether you're a believer or not a believer, you're definitely going to see some changes in this world. And to know what's going on and what the truth is, you need the Gospel of Barnabas, the Book of Enoch, and definitely the Quran. And that way when they tell you things, whether it's about global warming or homosexuality or many other things that are probably going to be happening, you'll have the truth. The only place you're going to get the truth, the total truth that you can rely on, is from your Maker. And in all his scriptures, he says not to put your faith in man or anything else, but to put your faith in him and your trust in him. Because all else is just the thoughts of men, and men are fallible. Your Maker is not fallible. So you need those things for yourself, for your family. Sometimes because you believe those things, maybe even members of your family will disown you. And that's a tough thing to deal with, especially if you love them, because then you'll go through phases where, your love and concern for them and wanting them to understand the things that you know to be truth. They might not care about or might not believe or whatever, and just want nothing to do with it, or you even maybe. But understand you won't be the first person to go through that. Many other people have gone through that, and even the prophets. You know of Lot, and when he was warning the homosexuals of Sodom to give up their ways. You know that from the Bible, and it's in the Quran also, where he told them, and I've gone over this before, where they try to say, God created them that way and this and that, or they say there's genes, and well, there was just a university study done. I think it was a university. I heard part of the story on the radio where they said there's no evidence that there's genes or hormones or anything like that make a person gay, born gay. There'll always be people who argue that, no matter. It's the same thing with many other things. They'll come up with their side of the story. And in most things, even in the news, no matter what the story is, you're going to get it how they want to present it to you. And they can make even the most unreasonable thing sound normal and reasonable. Like if you listen to NPR and they're talking about abortion and stuff, they're going to have people on there to talk about it in such a way that you go, oh, maybe they got a point. They don't have a point. The truth is, you wouldn't have abortion if people lived the way their Creator told them and didn't run around committing adultery and fornicating and everything else. If women waited until they were married to have sex and stuff, then you wouldn't have these abortions. You might have some people out there, because in this modern world they might put money in their careers ahead of raising children, but for the most part, a lot of that abortion stuff would go away. People, women say it's their choice. Well, your choice was, back whenever you were with whoever you were with, whether or not to have sex with that person, and what the consequences are if you do have sex. The chances are that you're going to get pregnant and stuff. That's when you needed to make your choice. Not after 3 months or so you find out you're pregnant and then decide you don't want a baby. You should have decided back then and not had the sex. But the same thing with the homosexuality. Lot told the men, and he was a prophet, so what he told them was coming from God. And so he told them, he said, you choose men. You'd rather take men for your spouses. You choose them instead of the women that God has created for you. He told them, you do worse than any men that have ever come before you. So when you know those truths, like that, and you have all these so-called experts and modern society putting pressure on you to accept things that you shouldn't accept, you need that backup. You need that, solid ground to stand on, and that rope of faith to hold on to, that says, no, you're not going to bend my mind. No, you're not going to make me give in. I'm not going to accept this world you want, and I'm going to stand my ground. And you're not going to teach this stuff to my children in grade school like they're doing now, that they can't even use the terms boy and girl. What's it going to come to someday? Knock on your door with the cops there, and they're there to take your kid away because you told your little boy he's a little boy because he has a penis. That makes him a boy. And that's what they're teaching them now. It's not what your private parts are, and not your physical attributes that decide what you are. It's what you feel inside you are and everything. Especially in California, they're doing that. And it's like, really? Well, if it walks like a duck, and it quacks like a duck, and it looks like a duck, then it's a duck. Unless you're in California. Then it might be a chicken. Then it might be whatever it decides it wants to be. This lunacy is probably only going to get worse. I'm sorry about the autofocus going in. I just noticed going in and out on that. So, but it's probably going to get worse. The insanity of this world. But, so I just wanted to point that out, that, you need the scriptures. And you need to study, and you need to pray. And that way when these things come down the pike in the news and stuff and everything, or in general society, they want to call you a homophobe, or they want to call you this or that or whatever, and tell you you're full of hate and all this, you have something to fall back on, because even your family might differ with you, and you won't have them to fall back on, or you won't have that emotional support. You might not get it from anybody in your community, so you need to have those and have faith. And so I just wanted to go over that first of all. And then other things in the news, like gun rights. We had these shootings, and there's going to be more pressure about guns and stuff. And look, there are a lot of people in this country, not just your average, drug dealing criminal or stuff like that, but, law-abiding citizens so far who own guns. And there's some of them who probably shouldn't. That are either a little mentally unbalanced or in a lot of ways you could say they're immature. I mean, I'm a gun owner, and like I said before, it's when society falls apart. All you gotta do is watch a movie called LA 92 and see what happens when there's no law enforcement. When either they don't show up on purpose or they can't show up. Natural disasters or financial meltdowns or war, things, whatever, that make society break down happen. Or back in the case of LA 92, just, I don't know if that was intentionally done. It seemed like it was. That for whatever reasons, the powers that be didn't seem to think controlling the situation was in their interest. But you may need a firearm, and it's like when people say, "Well, why do you need an AR-15 to hunt for and stuff?" Someday I might need it to hunt, but whether it's that type of rifle or any other kind, I don't have it. I don't have firearms to hunt right now. I have firearms to protect myself and my family in case of emergency situations, and that's whether you're being robbed or society breaks down or something like that. And a lot of people own them for those reasons, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, and I don't know why more people don't say that. Well, I don't hunt. I've got it to protect myself from my fellow man. Unfortunately, that's why I got it. But there are people. I mean, every time I see some moron that wants to prove his right to own firearms, that decides he wants to walk down the street with his AK-47 strapped over his shoulder, or try and walk in a Walmart with it strapped over his shoulder, something, I cringe. It's like, really? Are you that big of an idiot? You have the right to keep and bear arms, but not, you're going to go out and try and prove it. It's like them, you watch on YouTube, you see them videos of people that hit the border patrol check stations. All they got to do is roll their window down, and the agent's going to ask them, "Are you a U.S. citizen?" And you say, "Yes." And they wave you through. Or they might say, "Are you traveling? Is anybody else traveling with you?" If you're in one of these trucks, they want to know if there's anybody sleeper. You say, no or yes or whatever. Sometimes, once in a while, they might ask to look and lean over you. You pull the curtain open, they'll lean over, and they'll look in the sleeper to make sure no one's there. Big deal. But you got these people who roll up and start insisting they have no right to stop them and no right to ask them and everything. And these men or women are trying to stop drugs and God knows what from coming into the country, and you're going to bust their balls. You can't just say, "Yes, you're a citizen." You're going to tie them up doing other crap and having to deal with you when they could be spending their time maybe catching somebody that's bringing something in they shouldn't. So there's a lot of immature people out there. And it's in every race. So the news media on the left and stuff, and comedians and stuff. Oh, some crazy white guys and this and that. Well, I'm sorry. Every social, economic, and race, every race has its different social, economic, and levels of education and maturity among its people. There's just as many crazy, stupid black people out there as there are crazy, stupid white people out there. So, And we all know that. If we're going to be mature and have adult conversations about things, we all know that. So, you know, I got no problem with the rancher who's mature and, you know, even maybe served his country or whatever. You know, I don't care if he's got a whole armory in his house. He's a responsible gun owner. He might use it for hunting and for self-defense there, but he's not going to be an idiot and go trying to walk in every place carrying, you know, loaded to the gills just to prove he has the right to keep and bear arms. You know, he might have a shotgun or a rifle or something in the window of his pickup truck, and that'd be about it. You know, he's not stupid about it. And me as a gun owner, and even if you went to the hierarchy of the NRA, they know themselves. They got people they know who are members that come up to them and start talking to them within 5 minutes. You know, they know this is not somebody they would spend a whole lot of time with. You know, it's same with these trucking companies out here. You know, you got drivers who are professional, and educated, and well balanced, and then you got some that are just, you know, every truck driving story they believe in this and that, and you can see them when they walk up to somebody in the terminal, like the owner or the, you know, management or something, and start rambling off a bunch of crap. The person's kind of being polite and everything, and plus it's a driver, and they appreciate the drivers, and they stand there and they listen, but you can see it in their eyes. They're like, holy crap, this guy's out there, you know. So, but all races have different levels, and people themselves have different levels. They have good days and bad days. There might be somebody talks a bunch of crap one day and stuff, and then, you know, later on they're like, you know, what I get riled up about that for? What the hell was that? You know, I look like an idiot myself, you know. So it's hard. No one's perfect every day, but you know, so like I'd have no problem with like for handguns having clip limits of, you know, how many rounds a clip could have, and even for rifles, you know. I think 10 rounds, 10 to 20, you know, for a clip for a rifle is more than sufficient. A lot of people will disagree, you know, but also think, you know, on the handguns, if the clip holds 7 or 8, that's plenty. You know, I don't think it's any kind of regulation would necessarily be bad regulation. I mean, and I don't necessarily think if you limited clip size, you would do anything to actually save any lives. You might have a case here or there where, you know, the person had to reload or something and give somebody a chance to get them, give an officer an advantage. And that would be the one thing for limiting clip sizes would be, you know, the police and military would still have, you know, larger capacity clips, and that would give them the advantage. You know, if he's got a gun that he's got, you know, 8 or 10 rounds in, and suppose they limit clips to 6 for civilians, you know, that gives him the advantage. And that's not a bad thing, having law enforcement have the advantage over somebody that might be, you know, trying to shoot up a school or something. So I'm not against anything like that, but there's so many that would be like, oh, that's just so, you know, you can all storm our houses someday or whatever. And, you know, I think that's kind of going extreme. I think long before that happens, we're going to have some kind of, it's not the police or the military you're going to have to worry about. It's, might have a civil or race war or something, or financial crash, or, you know, nuclear war with, you know, Korea or Russia or something, or the natural disasters and things like that just disrupt society. So, you know, our politicians seem more infatuated with, you know, lining their pockets, and it's supposed to be for the people, by the people and stuff, but how many of these politicians, you know, are in their offices with their door open, and or even having like little small meetings they could do a couple times a week, where, you know, for a couple hours a day they shuffle 20 people in at a time and talk to them, and shuffle another 20 people in, talk to them, you know, spend a couple hours, just the average citizen, talking to the average. They're out of touch with the average citizen, if you ask me, in life, and the hurdles that government and everything is put into place to make our lives difficult, and how they tax us at will. You know, it's supposed to be for the people, by the people. I think they forget that they're the people. I think all they see is that they're in charge, and what they say goes, and they're going to do what they want to at will, and they have plenty of security and everything to protect them, and so they got no worries that, you know, if they piss people off, or doing something that's corrupt. You know, because apparently with, you can see with everything Trump's gone through and everything, they're even protecting themselves from law enforcement by using law enforcement to help them do their corrupt shit. You know, you got the FBI and all that did all them, or at least members of the FBI did those phony reports and everything to start this whole deal Trump had to go through. You know, so they got themselves behind the wall, and, you know, we got all this protection, we can do what we want to do, we got the law enforcement under our thumbs, they can't even touch us, we're untouchable. We'll just pass whatever bills and stuff and everything we want, no matter how. And same with the judicial system. Judges sit on them benches and stuff, and then they, instead of following the law or doing what's right, or in some cases they follow the law and the law is wrong. I was listening to a thing on the radio the other day. There's a man in Texas, or a family in Texas, around the Dallas area, I believe they said, whose child had all kinds of disabilities and stuff, and they disagreed with one of the doctors whose care he was under, and went to another doctor and followed that doctor's care instead. And they filed a complaint against the first doctor, so the first doctor went to Child Protection Services and more or less said the mother is crazy, and the child is being subjected to things he didn't need to be, and this and that, and then no meetings with any kind of judges or anything like that for the parents. All next thing they knew, law enforcement was at the door with Child Protection Services and took their kid away. And this has been dragged out for months. They haven't seen their kid in months. Kids in a foster system, and there was no charges of any kind of physical abuse, no charges of sexual abuse, no charges of mental abuse, no charges of any kind of abuse on these parents towards their child. All they did was change doctors and follow a different route of medical care. And this judge signed the papers that the Child Protection Service people who got the complaint from the doctor threw in front of them, signed them, no investigation, no nothing, just take the kid away. Now, do you think our founding fathers ever envisioned a day? Can you imagine? Because they were fighting, you know, the British even being able to enter your home without a warrant and stuff and everything, you know, as part of our where our rights and stuff comes from is the protection against the abuses that the colonists suffered under the British. Can you think they ever envisioned a day where either state or federal parts of the government would be going and taking people's children away? Now, I know there's cases where, yeah, you got to get a kid out of there. There's either physical or sexual abuse and stuff going on. The kid's in just a bad environment, or, you know, even if there's no abuse, the kid's, you know, it's a drug. The house is a drug den, filthy, dirty, you know. Kids not eating regular and not being bathed and living in filthy conditions and having all kinds of unsavory characters around and stuff. Yeah, you gotta help a kid in those kind of conditions. But that all requires, you know, investigation and proof, and then follow up. Because a lot of these agencies, we're going to rescue this kid, and then the kid goes in a foster home and ends up in a worse situation. You know, I've had friends in my life when I was younger who went through the system, who told me of, you know, physical abuse and sexual abuse either on them or other foster kids who were in the home. You know, I knew one guy, he ran away from half a dozen homes. And just the horror stories he used to tell me. So, our society's messed up. And it's probably going to get worse. But, what else is in politics? Or in the news, I mean, the trade deals and stuff. I haven't listened in the last couple days, but I guess the new tariffs are gonna go in and stuff. And there's people already saying, you know, we're heading for a recession and all this, and it's gonna be Trump's fault and yada yada yada. So I don't see any candidates coming from the left that I would want to be in charge of the country. And I hope Trump and his people aren't resting on their laurels. I think there's still a lot more they could do. You know, keep trying to, you know, get the immigration stuff under control, but don't let that be your only argument. Let's get some more things going that'll make it more attractive for business to stay in this country and keep their factories here and everything. You know, because they sold us out. They all sold us out, Republican and Democrat, with NAFTA and all these other deals they made with China years ago. Trump's trying to straighten a lot of that crap out. Now, has he got some other kind of corrupt deals or things going on we won't find out till he's out of office, where, you know, even this administration sold us out on shit? Probably. Maybe. You know, it's one of those things you have to wait and see. I like to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's not gonna cave in to Wall Street or the banks and everything else, and just look out for their interest. You know, he's going to stick to his guns, and he's you know, he told these people who are over there in China doing business, hey, you need to get out of there and stuff. And I guess they were talking about some law that was passed in the 70s that does give him authority to, in some instances, demand corporations or whatever to stop doing business in certain countries. So, but definitely need to do some things to keep a lot of our production here in this country. And make the pursuits of entrepreneurs and small business and stuff still attractive and um, uh, enable them to succeed. I believe taxes need to be cut across the board for everybody, way more. I believe, some of the things Wall Street gets away with doing and making themselves rich need to be reined in. Same with the banks. Because, we had that one financial collapse and everything. There's a video you can watch called Inside Job. And it's about that whole financial situation, how they did all these corrupt things, knew they were doing these corrupt things, and didn't care. And they all got richer. No one went to jail. The amount of fines, if they paid any, were minuscule to the money they made. And afterward, our lovely government under Barack Obama didn't bother changing the laws back, so they couldn't do that kind of shit no more. Didn't do a damn thing. And speaking of Mr. Obama, I want to thank you, Mr. Thief in Chief. I just got another notice from the IRS saying I owe them another $700 because I didn't have medical insurance for all of last year. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, indeed. Treating the average citizen like a criminal, you got to pay a penalty because you didn't go and buy something we told you had to go and buy. No, I agree. Insurance for everybody is a good idea. People should have it and be responsible citizens. But hey, sometimes you just can't afford it. And you're gonna because you say you're for the poor and everything. Oh, I guess I'm the wrong kind of poor or something. I don't know. Couldn't afford it last year. So, now I'm a criminal because I was financially unable financially to pay your cronies in the insurance industry a premium every month. So now I got to be penalized by the IRS, also known as Congress, because it's not really the IRS. They're just collecting the debt that you, Congress, and the thief in chief decided it was okay for you to take people's money over. If they won't pay us this way, we'll get it this way. Bunch of extortioners. That's what you are. So now I got to pay you $700. Like I'm some kind of criminal that has to pay a fine. Thank you, Mr. Obama, thief in chief. Hope you're enjoying that. Wonder where you got the money for that $14 million mansion or whatever it costs up there. You're getting in Martha's Vineyard or wherever the hell it is. Couldn't be kickbacks from the insurance companies, could it? I wonder. But so that'll about do it for this one here. But definitely Congress has sold us out a long time ago. Think they're above us in all ways, and we're just here. They're not part of the people. They're our overlords anymore. They just do what they want, and we have to deal with it. But anyhow, that'll do it for this one. You all have a good one. Be safe out there. Remember, there's no greater thing you can say than Allah Akbar. And there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. May peace be upon him and his family and his followers, upon Imam Ali and Lady Fatima, upon Jesus, peace be upon him, and his blessed mother Mary. Remember, read the Gospel of Barnabas, the Book of Enoch, and definitely the Quran. You'll need the scriptures to make it through the times ahead, whether those times are a few years down the road or 20 years down the road. You're going to need them. All right, peace.